Welcome back. In our last class, we have learned clearly the concept of direct variation and inverse variation. In today's class, we will be solving a few exercises based on inverse variations. First problem says that a workforce of 420 men with a contractor can finish a piece of work in 9 months. So, what are the quantities? Here, one quantity is men and the other quantity is time. So from the first statement we can see here that 420 these many men can complete a piece of work in 9 months. So here the unit is months. So in 9 months, now how many extra men must be employed to complete the job in 7 months? That means for the second quantity, the second value is 7. So we have to find the second value of the first quantity which is not known to us. So we will assume that value as x. And what we can understand here that 420 men can complete a piece of work, a particular job in 9 months. So if we are decreasing the time, then definitely to complete the same job, the number of people, number of workers has to be increased. So here one quantity is decreasing and the other quantity will increase. So here two quantities are in inverse variation. So what is the relationship in case of inverse variation? You know A1 by A2, that is equal to B2 divided by B1. So here if we take, this is A, so 420 divided by other value is X and it will be B2 by B1, so it will be 7 divided by 9. So here the value of X, second value of the first parameter or quantity will be 420 multiplied by 9 divided by 7, just cross multiplication. Now here it will be 60, so it will be 520. So these many men we need to complete the same piece of work in 7 months. And how many men or workers we have? 420. So how many extra workers we need? Extra will be 540 minus 420, that means it will be 120. So this is the solution of this problem. Now we will see the next problem. It says that 1200 men can finish a stock of food in 35 days. How many more men should join them so that the same stock may last for 25 days? That means here again we have two quantities. Here the first quantity is the number of persons or men, so it is the first quantity, and the second quantity is time, and that is given in number of days in that format. So the first value of the first quantity is 1200 and the first value of the second quantity is 35 days as per the first line of the problem statement. Now the second line says that how many more men should join them so that the same stock may last for 25 days. That means the food that we have, which can be finished in 35 days by 1200 men, and now if we want to finish the same food in 25 days, that means of the second quantity we are decreasing the value, we are decreasing the time, the number of days. And since the stock of food that can be finished in 35 days and we want to finish in 25 days, that means the same amount of food should be eaten by more number of people. That means when we are decreasing the second quantity, the first quantity should increase. So again these two quantities are in inverse variation. So we don't know the second value of the first quantity, so we will assume again that value is x. So how we will find out? We will take this ratio 1200 by x, and that will be equal to 25 by 35, right? Because we know what is the relationship or condition for inverse variation. It is a1 divided by a2 will be equal to b2 divided by b1, that we have already seen in case of first problem. So what will be the value of x? It will be 1200 multiplied by 35 divided by 25. So it will be here 5 then 7. So the number of persons or men that can finish the same amount of food In 25 days, that value is 1618. But how many men we have at present? It's 1200. The extra number of men or persons that should join that team will be 1680 minus that we have at present, which is 1200. So it will be 480. So that is how we solve this type of problem related to inverse variation. Now we will see the next problem. It says that 1200 soldiers in a fort had enough food for 28 days. That means here again we have two quantities. One is the number of soldiers and the second quantity is time, which is measured again in terms of days. So as per the first line, we can see here that 1200 soldiers can finish a particular amount of food in 28 days. Now, after 4 days, some soldiers were transferred to another fort. So, after 4 days means 28 minus 4, it will be 24 days. That means if all the soldiers that initially we had in that fort, if they even stayed back, then 1200 soldiers can have that food for next 24 days. So next value is 1200 soldiers can finish the rest amount of food in 24 days. But what happens after that? After 4 days, some soldiers were transferred to another fort. So some soldiers were transferred, we don't know how many, but what was the remaining number of soldiers? They ate that remaining food for 32 days. So if the number of soldiers were 1200, then remaining food was supposed to be finished in 24 days. But since some soldiers left, that means the number of soldiers here decreases, and since the number of persons now less, so the same amount of the remaining amount of food, the remaining food will be can be used for more number of days. So these two quantities are in inverse variation, so that more number of days is 32. So since we don't know how many soldiers currently we have after some soldiers left that fort, so we will assume that that value is x, and these two set of values are in inverse variation. We will use the formula that we know. So it will be 1200 divided by x, and since they are in inverse variation, so it will be 32 divided by 24. We will not take this set of first set of values, because based on that we have found the second set of values, and for first 4 days the food has already been finished by 1200 soldiers. So this is the new set of value that we will be using. Now if we want to find the value of x, so it will be 1200 multiplied by 24 divided by 32. So it will be, that means the value of x is 900. So the remaining food will be used or will be finished in 32 days by 900 soldiers, but initially we had 1200 soldiers. So how many soldiers left? The fort is 1200 minus 900, so 300. So these many soldiers left the fort, and that's why the remaining food was used for 8 more days. Now the next problem sum says that a group of 3 friends staying together consume 54 kg of wheat every month. Fine. So from the first line, what we can see here, we have 3 friends, means number of friends or number of men, that is one quantity. Here they are consuming 54 kg of wheat, that is another quantity, and that is every month they are consuming. Every month means that again the time. So it is 30 days. 30 days on an average. So that could be another quantity or parameter. Now let's see what the second line says. Some more friends join this group. That means the number of friends is varying. So here this is one quantity, number of friends group, and they find that the same amount of weight. So same amount of weight means the amount of weight is not changing. So that is not the second quantity. Lasts for 18 days. Here the number of days, initially it was for 1 month, so 30 days on an average, and that is changing to 18 days. So here the second quantity which is varying is the number of days. So the first quantity here will be friends, and the second quantity will be time, which is given in days. and the amount of food or weight whatever that remains same. So that is not the quantity which is varying. So here initially three friends were consuming 54 kg of weight in every month, means in 30 days, and now some more friends join this group, we don't know how many, and the same amount of food, instead of consuming in 1 month, that is getting consumed in 18 days. So here the number of days is decreasing, the time is decreasing, and some more friends has that they have joined the group. That means the number of friends has been increased. That means here we can say the time and the number of friends, they are in inverse variation. As the time is decreasing, the number of friends is increasing, or we can say as the number of friends is increasing, since some more friends have joined the group, that's why the number of days of consumption, the same amount of food is decreasing. So since we don't know how many friends have joined, so we'll assume that the total number of friends now we have in that group is x. So since they are in inverse variation, so a1 divided by a2 will be equal to b2 divided by b1. So it will be 3 divided by x, and that will be equal to 18 divided by 30, right? So x will be how much? Simple, it is 30 multiplied by 3 divided by 18. So 3 6 are 18, and then 5. So it is 5. 5 is the total number of friends that that group has right now. So initially it was 3, now it is 5. So how many extra friends that has joined that group? That is now 5, and initially it was 3. So two more friends have joined that group. That's why instead of consuming the same amount of weight in 1 month, it is now is being consumed in 18 days. The next problem sum says that a person has money to buy 25 cycles worth rupees 500 each. Now how many cycles he will be able to buy if each cycle costs rupees 125 more? So that means here we have two quantities, the number of cycles which is changing, we don't know what is the next value that we have to find, and the cost of each cycle, which initially was 500, now it costs more, and each for each cycle is it costs 125 rupees, 125 more. So here the first quantity will be the number of cycles, and the second quantity will be the cost of each cycle, which here we it is given in rupees. So initially the value of the first quantity was 25 cycles, the money that that person had. So by that money he was able to buy 25 cycles, one for each cycle. The cost was 500. Now the cost of each cycle has been increased by rupees 125. So now the new value price of each cycle is 625, and we don't know how many cycles he will manage to buy by the same amount of money. So we will assume that the number of cycles that he will now we will be able to buy, it is x, and we will find that value. So it will be, since now each cycle the price of each cycle is more, so if the total amount of money that the person has, if it is fixed, then by the same amount of money, definitely the number of cycles that he will be able to buy will be less. So that means when the cost of each cycle is increasing, the number of cycles is decreasing, right? So these two quantities are in inverse variation. So the relationship that we will be using is 25 divided by x. These are the two values of the first quantity. It will be equal to inverse ratio. So 6 to 5 divided by 500. Now if we find the value of x, it will be 525 divided by 6 to 5. So it is 25, then it will be 20. So the number of cycles that the person will manage to buy now, it is 20, and initially it was 25. So this is the answer of this problem. Now the next and last problem sum says that Raghu has enough money to buy 75 machines worth rupees 200 each. How many machines can he buy if he gets a discount of rupees 50 on each machine? That means this problem is same as the previous one. Here initially the for each cycle the price was increased by 125 rupees, that price was increasing. Now here he is getting discount means the price of each machine is decreasing, and that is decreasing by rupees 50. So as the price is decreasing, now by the same amount of money the person Raghu will be able to buy more number of machines. Again these two quantities are in inverse variation. So here the first quantity is number of machines that Raghu buys, and the second quantity is cost of each machine, that is given or represented in rupees. Now as per the first line, the first value of the first quantity is 75 when the price of each machine was 200, and when that value is getting decreased by 50, now the new value is 150. And how many machines the Raghu will be able to buy? So they are in inverse variation. 75 divided by x will be equal to 150 divided by 200. So from here if we find the value of x, it will be 75 multiplied by 200 divided by 150. So 50 is the common multiplier between 150 and 200. So 4 3, then here it will be 25. So finally it will be 100. That means when the price of each machines decreases, so the more number of machines that Raghu will buy, the new value is 100. So the extra machines that he will be able to buy is 100 minus 75, that will be 25. So this is how we can simplify, we can solve exercises based on inverse variation. I hope this class was helpful for you. With that hope I end today's class. See you in the next class. Thank you.